And speaking of Iran, we turn now to this. Iran tried to seize 2 oil tankers near the Strait of Hormuz early this morning. Now, according to the U.S. Navy, Iranian naval vessels backed off after the U.S. Navy responded to distress signals from the 2 tankers. Now, there was no immediate Iranian comment on these latest incidents.
So back with us to discuss this, Newsmax contributor Michael Grimm. What's your reaction to this, another attempt at a seizure of these oil tankers?
Listen, we're in a dangerous time right now. I think our enemies around the globe see the United States as weak, and they're all going to, that bolsters their efforts. But this is nothing new. This is something Iran has always done. They always go after oil tankers and other big tankers in that area. Look, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but a very large percentage of oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz. It's extremely important to have control of those waterways. They know this. This is a provocation. It's simply that they are testing us because they perceive us as weak right now.
Yeah, it's interesting, Michael, because we just had Eric Stockelbeck with us, and he was saying that the head of the snake regarding the Israel-Palestinian conflict is in Iran. But then you look at Iran, and okay, they're coming after our tankers. They have a close relationship with Russia. They have a close relationship with China. They seem to be just infiltrating all of our enemies. And you kind of say, okay, Iran, we know that they're challenging, but we tend to look more at Russia and China. But how much more closely should our government, our administration be looking at Iran?
Well, I actually wish you were sitting in with some of our Joint Chiefs right now, because you went exactly where I wanted to go. This is not an isolated incident, number one. It's not Iran by themselves. This is coordinated efforts, and we do have to look at this, and I'll use an old phrase, axis of evil, that you have between China, which is really the lead, and then Iran, and then I would say Russia, but because Russia really does take a lot of its direction from China, because without China, they don't have an economy at all. So they get propped up, and China really is, in my opinion, the ultimate head of the snake here. But yes, all of these things you're seeing with Iran, with the proxies for Iran, Hamas, the Islamic regime, they're proxies for Tehran, Iran. There's no doubt about that, but they do work in conjunction with China and Russia, and that's the problem, is that we are perceived as weak, and they're all coming out and rattling their sabers every way they can.
So we dive a little deeper here on Newsmax.com. The U.S. Navy says that Iran has seized at least 5 commercial vessels in the last 2 years and has harassed several others. Many of them, these incidents have occurred in and around that strait you were talking about, in the narrow mouth of the Persian Gulf, which you were saying 20% of the oil goes through.
Exactly. And I've been, I was in combat in the Persian Gulf. I know the area well. I know a lot of people that have been in theater. So again, this is no surprise to me. They have done this in the past, but I would say in the last couple of years, it has increased. So there's no question that they smell weakness, and they see an opportunity here, and they're bolstered by China and Russia. That's the problem.
Yeah, and Michael, quickly before we let you go, what can the United States do about this? Anything? It seems like if it keeps happening, why don't we stop it? Well, maybe a naive question.
Well, it's a great question, actually, because one would say, where is our diplomacy? Where are we on the world stage? One of the things the United States can do is be stronger on the world stage overall. President Biden, unfortunately, has been perceived as weak. He has acted weak with respect to our enemies. Look, he is perceived, at least, as buddying up to China and and capitulating to China a little too much. So if he stood up to China a little bit more, then I think that maybe Iran and Russia might rattle their sabers a little less.
Yeah. Michael Grimm, always great insight. Appreciate that. Stick around. We're going to get to your comments on some other stories coming up.